Would I have liked to hear him dead because of the police that they had got him? No. Would I prefer that he had gone to jail? Yeah. And I'm happy to see that this school shooter is actually in the police officer's custody. I really, really am. You never expect anything like that happening on Valentine's Day, especially since 89 years before this, there was another St. Valentine's Day massacre that happened in Chicago. With school shootings becoming all over the place in the news, it's time that we all got up and said, let's do something about this. Think of the movie Natural Selection. One of the movies that I reviewed on this channel was a teen drama called Natural Selection. And this newcomer befriends this, well, I guess you could say senior student, someone who's been at the school for a long time, a good amount of time. And then he finds out, eventually, that Indrid, who's our main antagonist, is planning something horrible. And our main protagonist contacts authorities and tells them, heads up, this is what my friend is planning. And they actually did do something about it. At the end, we see what happens. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just going to say, at the end, we figure out exactly what Indrid was planning and what our main protagonist ended up doing once he found out. And that, I say, learn from Natural Selection. Do what he did. Not Indrid, but our main protagonist. Once you find out, then absolutely warn people. Unfortunately, in real life, that doesn't always happen. Some of these people who actually knew Nikolas Cruz, who's our defendant in this school shooting, actually did try to contact the authorities. And unfortunately, the authorities didn't do much. There wasn't enough evidence to, pick him up and say, hey, what's up? It's time that we all finally put our feet down and say, hold on a minute. What are you doing? Time out. Think about what I said in my other video. In my video, think before you act. Remember what I said? Wait a minute, hold it, time out. Let's think. Hold on. Why are you doing this? Why are you armed with guns? Why do you want to kill someone? Is there something that's making you angry? Is there something that you're curious about? Do you want to go to jail? Do you want to throw your whole life away? Tell me, what is it that is bothering you? What I believe needs to be done, we need to really, really change gun laws around the world. Let me bring up this other story. Another story that I brought up on my channel was a video featuring inmates alone in a room with nothing but a camera to talk to. And they were talking about how they thought guns were cool to have until they actually used one on a person. These men were describing about how bad they felt afterwards. Some of these guys were tearing up, some of these guys didn't tear up, but I can tell you those who teared up, you could tell that they easily had one thing to say: regret. In the days following this tragedy, students from around the world have decided to do a march on Washington about gun control. I love that. I think that everyone around the world should do a march in their country and say, hey, gun violence has to end. I mean, you'd think we would learn a thing or two. Look at the documentary by Michael Moore, Bowling for Columbine, and look at all the shootouts that happened following the Columbine shooting, Virginia Tech, and well, and the recent ones that have hit, like in the Aurora Theater, Connecticut, and Florida on Valentine's Day. We can all learn one thing. Guns might be cool in the films, but be very, very careful about owning one. Store it properly. And if you have children that are interested in guns, you might want to talk to them really, really carefully about that. That's what I would do personally if I had children and they were interested in guns. I would say, kids, we need to talk about guns. The seriousness of them, that is.